I'm Instructor Jason, one of the instructors at Krav Maga Self-Defense. You may hear the term target hardening in the security industry. It usually applies to a location, building, or facility. But we can also apply this to persons, like me and you. The harder you are as a target, the less likely you are to be singled out, to be victimized. So there are signs or symptoms which makes one project a presence of being a hard target. This is usually a consequence of training for a long time. You just project these traits naturally when you are when you are a well or highly trained individual. There's no way to cram years of training, but we can find ways to project these similar traits and be a hard target or appear to be a hard target. General context of being, the general context we're talking about would be being in a public area, like when you're traveling through a public area, can be an unfamiliar area too, whether you're alone or with a group of people. Especially, so these traits, you project an aura or a presence. And if you go through a public area, of course, you are subject to people seeing you. Maybe there are bad actors who are looking for victims, especially in foreign countries that just want to do badness, and they pick and choose who their victims are. If you have a presence about you that makes you a hard target, or you look like a hard target, then they will skip you and choose someone who looks to be a softer target or someone easier to victimize. So that there in itself is one of like a good first layer of self-defense. So here are some things that you can do. First thing is how you carry yourself. And one aspect of that is posture. So your posture should exude confidence, but not arrogance. So you don't necessarily have to have watermelons under your arms, but you just have that confidence when you carry yourself. That already gives a bit of a presence of being a hard target. You're self-assured and not insecure. So you're very sure-footed, sure of yourself, maybe moving with a bit of purpose. That already projects a presence of being a hard target. The issue being, if you don't feel confident, the body's posture reflects this. And if this goes more into the realm of body language and maybe even power dynamics in psychology. So what's helped me a lot more than 10 years ago, I think, back when they used to do TED Talks. I don't know if they still do TED Talks, but there's a specific TED Talk. If you look for the TED Talk by Amy Cuddy, and she talks about power dynamics and talks about power poses. So these are power poses where your arms are on your hips, where you look like Superman or Wonder Woman. Your arms are spread over a desk, leaning over. So that's a bit of more like a dominant stance type of thing. You're slouching on the chair with your arms on that your legs on that figure 4 type of structure, and you're more relaxed. Yeah. So these help me not necessarily in the self-defense aspect, but these poses can affect your psyche, your mental state. So doing them as what the TED Talk mentioned, doing these poses for 2 minutes can affect your mental state. And they did a study. I'll let you watch the TED Talk. I'll put the link on. I'll share the link in the description. And at the end of their study, the people who did the power poses had a 20%, if I remember correctly, had a 20% increase in testosterone and a drop in cortisol. Cortisol being the stress hormone. Testosterone being our masculine, aggressive sort of, well, to put it loosely, our aggressive hormone, right? And I had this job interview for a job years ago, more than a decade ago, and it was internal. It was to be a team leader, so like a higher position, a position with a little more responsibility, and you have competition, and you had to do panel interviews. So I tried it out. Of course, you're nervous. Um, and so I tried it out. I did power posing before my panel interview, and I did pass. I did get the job. I eventually became a team leader for that role, and I do believe that did help me because I've come in with that quiet confidence. I didn't want to sound arrogant in front of the panel, but I answered all questions with, I believe, the right amount of confidence and soundly as well, addressing the criteria that they wanted me to address, etc. So, if what I'm coming here with is, it's hard it's a little bit of a fake it till you be it. That's what the TED Talk was saying. Fake it till you make it, fake it till you become it. You cannot cram that natural presence that comes from someone who's been training for a long time. It's just this natural presence about them. You can probably pick off in a crowd who's the martial artist just by how they walk, how they carry themselves, how they stay aware of their surroundings and all these things. So you can try to simulate that, and that can help project that presence of being a hard target. And this will help. The power posing will bring up the testosterone, maybe bring up some confidence, and like what we said before, a quiet confidence, confidence but not arrogance, self-assured and not insecure. Moving on from posture, you also have be aware. You have to be aware and be alert, right? So don't look lost or unsure. Maintain your situational awareness. Part of that, maintain situational awareness. I don't want to look paranoid as well, and I'm looking around all the time. Be too fidgety, like you've had too much coffee. So that will also sort of um, not project the presence of being a hard target, but more like might even which is what I'll say later on. It will attract unnecessary attention to yourself. Some of the things I personally like to do for situational awareness is like when I'm walking around, moving around, I love reflective surfaces, mirrors, glass, car windows. Um, if you're walking down this footpath and there's all these shopping windows, display windows, I love those because then I can just look at that and it looks like I'm looking at the display, but I'm seeing the reflection of the people behind me, who's walking behind me, or on the opposite end of the street without looking directly at them. Even on the train, when I take the train, sometimes it looks a bit silly because the opposite door will open and everyone's exiting there, and it's dark on the other side, but I'm facing the other side. It looks like I'm looking into nothing, or if it's the train's running, I'm looking outside into the surroundings, but I'm actually keeping aware by using the reflection on these reflective surfaces to see who's behind me, who's around me. So that can be to your advantage too. And when you do occasionally look at your surroundings or behind you, you take snapshot. I like to call them snapshots, right? Let's say you see that area, you have a snapshot of all those people there, and you kind of try to keep it in memory. If anyone stands out, then you try to sort of take note of what features that can help you, like shortcut features. Um, we'll go into that a little bit in a bit, but we'll see. So one of the other things that I do, that I like to do, is taking on 90-degree corners. I like to take wide. I take the corners wide. Those of you who've done a lot of scenario training with us, you know, around the corner, someone's there with a pad or a training knife, training pistol stick, or will attack you. Definitely, someone will attack you around the corner. So what do? What do you naturally do? You take that corner in a wide angle, so you have that distance to react, and you see them as early as possible, and you can identify where the problem is and deal with it. If you're walking around and guard is down because it's a relaxed area and everything, and you stay too close to the corner and someone else on the other side does it, and you kind of just stop short of bumping into each other, that's the concept, right? You don't want that to happen. If you take that angle wide, you can you have a better reaction, a distance for better reaction time, and identifying anything that could be there as early as possible. If you can also go to the extent of doing unexpected stops. You see this in the movies, right? That can help. Like, oh, there's a shop here. Let me look at postcards. And then you can have a look behind you, take another snapshot, mentally compare that with the previous snapshot, see if anyone else is consistently still there or consistently behind you. You can do U-turns, pretend you're lost somewhere, but make sure it's not a location or a dead end where you end up being trapped. But you can find areas where you can do like a circular area, like a roundabout that you come around, or make an abrupt turn or change direction, and you can catch out someone who's closely following you if you think that's happening. That's more like a higher level of threat, but might as well put that in there as good for the topic. So it does take a bit of practice, but then if someone's following you, you can look, you can do. You won't be able, if you want to be sly about it, you won't be able to stare at them for 5 minutes and memorize all their features, right? You have these glances, and you have to take in as much information as you can as you look around. So what can help is quickly capturing features that stand out. One of them could be hats. If they have a bright colored hat or some design on the hat, that can be done. One downside to that is they can easily take off the hat, and then you've lost one of your markers. So, but you can look at the shirt, the type of shirt, color of shirt, shoes. If the shoes are a different color that stand out, back then a lot of lads would wear the red Nike TN shoes. I haven't seen them in a while do that, but you can see that's one of those things that's distinctive. Um, yeah, shorts, something unique about the bag or jacket, all those things that you can use. And you can mentally compare snapshots. And so you're doing all these, and you're like, this guy has consistently been in my mental snapshot every time I look. And so you got to start escalating some of your tactics too. Maybe do some unexpected U-turn or turn, and try to throw them off or catch them and really see if they are following you or they just happen to be on the same path as you. Going back to the 90-degree turns, what I forgot to mention too is what I really like to do as well. So you go wide because you want to see what's there. But also, as I go wide, that gives me a more natural angle or less obvious angle. Let's say I'm coming here, going 90 degrees here. As I turn, let's say it's clear, I've had a wide angle to see it's clear, and then as I turn that 90 degrees, it's less obvious that I've looked behind me. I'm already facing that 90-degree angle to where I was before. So I just look this way, and I can take a snapshot of what's behind me. All right. So those are all these little things you can do to sort of be aware. These are little glances. You don't want to be too obvious and just really staring around. You have to be, you want to be sly about it, so you don't attract unnecessary attention to yourself. So another one is to be tactically sound. By that, let's say one aspect of positioning. So you find the least vulnerable spots when stopping, or if you need to do something that takes up your attention. An example: checking your phone. So if you're in Europe, a lot of walking, you're on foot all the time. You need and a foreign land to you. You need to check Google Maps once in a while, all the time, to see if you're on the right track. So a lot of oblivious tourists we just stop in the middle of where they are and focus on that phone, and they're right in the middle of where everyone's passing. Very vulnerable position. So what I like to do, especially if I'm traveling around with other people with me, um, I uh, I would go to the side and have the wall behind me, so I don't have to watch behind me, just the sides, right? Or the people beside me can start being the lookouts uh, as I check the maps. But also, you don't just choose any wall, right? You want to be away from corners or main thoroughfares. So you don't stand beside the door of a shop where there's a lot of people coming in and out, because you still have that proximity to main traffic. What I notice with corners, what do people naturally do with corners? They cut the corner. So everyone, this is the corner, everyone scrapes the corner. So if you stay right by the corner, people will be passing like just 5 centimeters away from you. They'll be passing right by you, right in front of you. Too close, too close. I find that I personally think that's too vulnerable. So I kind of stay away from the corner. Maybe if there's a wall with two corners, you want to be in the middle, right? And you have that maximum distance away from people cutting the corners, and you're in some sort of spot that's out of the way. So if someone does approach you or stay close to you, you already kind of have that high likelihood that they'd have some bad intent, or they're up to badness because they're targeting you. Maybe they want to steal from you, right? Or pick your pockets. And of course, like what I mentioned before, you want to avoid creating unnecessary attention to yourself, right? This doesn't directly um, advertise that you are a hard target, but it helps in the overall picture, because out of sight, out of mind. If you're the gray man, let's say there are elements out there, there are bad actors out there looking for a victim, out to do badness. They're looking for a victim. If you stay out of their radar, then that you've done the job. That's the objective. You didn't even show up in their list of people of prospective victims, so to speak. So while you're talking, don't be too loud or obnoxious in the restaurants or in the public areas where you can have attention brought to yourself, right? Or laughing too loud, just being, don't be that, let's say in the tourist context, don't be that obnoxious tourist, right? That's too loud in public. And you just catch everyone's attention. The way you act as well. So try to avoid being that obnoxious tourist or being arrogant, even if it's your local city, right? You're in some shady area of the city, not that you're supposed to be there in the first place, but you want to be the gray man. Also, with items on your person, right? You could have cash and or valuables on display or are not secured. Then anyone, let's say in a foreign land tourist type of context, you have all these fancy gadgets or things that stand out, and you attract attention that way, because there may be bad elements out there, bad actors out there that are really out to find someone. And if you have this guy who looks oblivious and have all these valuables unsecured, phone, necklace, whatever, cash, wallet, all those things, if you still carry a wallet, cards, your cards, um, passport, then you will stand out to them. You become a target too. They want to see that. So, long-term training provides these aspects naturally as consequences of honing your skills in self-defense. If you're still new, you can still apply these with some presence of mind. Just be very more conscious. Like someone who's trained for a while, this is natural for them. They'll just naturally move it because they're used to it. If you're still new, then your mind will work harder because you have to remind yourself, oh yeah, um, I have to check my phone. What do I do again if I have to check my phone? Absolutely do not stop here in the middle where everyone's walking. That's a vulnerable place. Oh, I'll find a wall. What do I have to do again with the wall? Oh yeah, stay away from the corners because people cut the corners. They'll be closer to me. I'll avoid thoroughfares like doors from shops, being next to doors of shops or other passageways, all those things. So you just have to think about it more compared to someone who's naturally more used to it or more has more tenure in training. And and they won't be able to tell, right? If I'm a bad actor, I'm looking out for a victim. I see you doing these things, the way you carry yourself, that confidence but not arrogance, self-assured but not insecure, um, power previous power posing gives you a good posture, not the bad postures where you kind of shrink yourself, you cross your arms, cross your legs, but the shoulders are relaxed and spread out, and you're very sure-footed. Me as a bad actor wouldn't be able to tell and say this guy has been training for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, right? He may just be training for less than 1 year. But if he's doing all those things, he projects that presence of a hard target, or he looks like someone who's been training quite a while or know what he's doing. He's aware, he's alert, tactically sound, tactically minded, and so a hard target. And I'll be going, as a bad actor, I'll be going, yeah, he looks like a hard target. I'll look for someone else, like a softer target. If you search around the internet, they've done these studies where they've asked uh, people in prison who've been convicted of crimes, and they compared videos of different people just walking, standing around, and who would you victimize? And they would choose the ones who look like soft targets, which is doing the opposite of what we've been discussing, right? So the people who had that good posture, that sure-footed, self-assured demeanor, tactically minded as well, that quiet confidence, they consider that to be a hard target. Now, I won't touch that. I'll look for someone softer because they want the easy prey, easy victim. Uh, and putting all these, and of course, not attracting attention to yourself, you will minimize the chances of being singled out or chosen to be victimized. And then eventually, if you train long enough, you will naturally be a hard target because you'll naturally just um, exude this presence about you, that quiet confidence, tactically minded person. You know what you're doing, you know what's safe, you know what to avoid, all that. That just it sometimes it's hard to explain. You just have to see it in someone, but you project that presence, and of course, if you get that through constant and long-term training. To learn more KMG self-defense techniques, train with us at kravmagaselfdefense.com.au.